I was going with these like little earbud things, right? They were nice, man. I had these little earbud things in, but the problem was I couldn't hear myself talk, and it was like fucking my ears up and everything. So I went back to the cans.
Yeah,
And
I'm actually looking at a set of cans right now for I got this nice little home work office set up right now, but I'm missing a pair of nice over the head joints. I got the AirPod Pro joints, and
those are good. They work.
they're right, but
they hurt ears.
They keep slipping out, man. They're poorly designed, man. The tips are terrible.
No, I use the Jobbers, man. The Jobber 65s and money, dude.
Yeah.
The Jobbers, man, and they got a new one out. Let's make sure we're good on LinkedIn here. Let's make sure we're streaming. We are streaming. What is up, everybody? It is the 16th day of April, dude. All these days are just blending together, man.
Like Groundhog Day every fucking day, man.
It's every day. Every day is the same freaking day, man. It is the 16th day of April. I am live with my man Jay Salim. Jay Salim.
Get my name right, Salim, baby.
Jay Salim. I had it right the second time, man.
I can guess yourself, man. You see, go with your instinct, baby.
It is. Jay and I go way back, and we'll get to that in a little bit. We're just making sure that we are live and running. It looks like we're up on the old LinkedIn machine, Facebook, Twitch. Have you used Twitch at all? You play with Twitch?
Nah, I'm not that advanced, man. I can't even get my head wrapped around Snapchat, man.
I stopped doing Snapchat. I just do the filters with the kids. How about TikTok?
TikTok? Yeah, man. I don't post, but I'm on TikTok like at least half hour a day, man. That shit is so funny.
I got my daughter on TikTok. She's checking out. Oh yeah, we're live, man. We got some people here. We got some people checking in. Twitch. Hold on, let me lower the volume here, and we'll get going in a minute. All right, so I've been doing this show almost every day, man. And I went back, and like the first one I did during the coronavirus situation was like mid-March. I think it was like the 15th of March, 16th of March over there. And we're a month later, man, and we're in this shit. We are absolutely in this shit, man. It is real. It is going down. And my man Jay has been around the block, right? So his day job, he is the EVP of People and Culture over at Complex Networks. And I am so proud to see, Jay and I have known each other for probably about 5 years now. Longer than that. It's been about 6-7 years, maybe.
2012, right?
Yeah, 2012. Go way back to 2012, man.
2013, somewhere around there.
2012 is way back now, right? We're talking about 2012 is way back. Yeah, and this guy has had a tremendous career. But the first thing I want to talk about, and thank you, man, for your service. Army, right? Army, right? And what years?
You call me a Marine, man.
I would never do that, man. I mean, let alone call you Air Force and Navy. And what? God. and what years? What years did you serve, man?
So I served active duty from 03 to 05. A year of that was spent, 13 months of that was spent in Iraq. And then I got out for 6 months and then got recalled back into the Army Reserves. So I served as a reservist in Fort Hamilton, Brooklyn for like 2.5 years.
You had to defend Brooklyn.
Man.
Fort Brooklyn there. But, Jay and I are Brooklyn bred. Let's Sheepshead Bay, man. Sheepshead Bay before turn. Now,
I'm living in Jamaica, Queens right now, and my lease is coming up in like a month and a half, right? And I'm looking at all of these apartments in Brooklyn, and the prices are dropping like a rock, man. I'm like, it's a good time to move, man.
It is a good time, but I want to talk about, before we get into your current job and all that kind of fun stuff. Now, Jay's been through it. He's been through adversity. He's been through hard times, and he's been through situations that are out of his control, which is totally relatable to the situation we're in now, right? So let's take it back to your Army days. Like, let's talk about a situation, right? Maybe when you were coming up, maybe it was boot camp, maybe it was when you were first deployed, maybe it was the first time you stepped foot on the sands in Iraq, man, when things were out of your control. Let's talk about that for a little bit, and like what it felt like, what kind of mindset you needed to be in.
Well, the military trains you for that kind of shit, right? They're like, listen, in the fog of war, shit is just going to be going on all over you, right? And what you have to do is hyper focus on what the mission is, what your specific role in that mission is, and execute. But at the same time, remain malleable and adjust to your circumstances. So having what they call in the military situational awareness, focusing on your mission, but also being aware of your surroundings and circumstances, understanding the variables that are around you, and adjusting accordingly, man. So you have to have that bit of flexibility, but also remain focused. In a situation like this, man, it really is out of your control. There's literally very little, unless you work at, World Health Organization or
Right.
you're working on a vaccine. There's not much you can do. But what you can control, that, what my CEO Rich always preaches to us, is 95% of things are out of your control. 5% is, and you got to crush that 5%.
You got to
So
own it.
situation like this, man, just don't do stupid shit. Don't go out there, hanging out with your boys in large groups and putting yourself, because it's not just about you, man. And that's
No, don't be
like,
selfish.
don't be selfish. Like, if you want to be careless and reckless with your life, listen, that's your decision. But your actions has an effect on other people. So making sure that you're being considerate and safe, not just for you, but the people in your family. That's the number one thing you can do. I know people have heard that ad nauseum.
It's true.
But there's a reason you're hearing it ad nauseum, because it is the most important thing you can do. And there's a lot of dumb motherfuckers out there just not fucking listening, man.
No, man, and it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, like, listen, I'm not going to call them out, but I've seen certain religious groups, right? They're still congregating. They're still doing shit out there. They're still being dumb, and they don't get it. The only way we're going to get through this is together. And it's interesting too, man. I talk to a lot of people across the country, and I think unless you're in California, New York, or the states that are getting hit right now, I think there's a weird sense of that it's not that serious. It's not going to happen to me. And I'll tell you something straight up. 7 weeks ago in New York, we had that same mindset that this shit was not coming here. We were fine and everything, and it hit. Now, yes, we are saturated, we are deep, extremely populated here, but don't even think for 1 second that you're safe there, man. And you need to start now, and you have a heads up, and you have a warning, and you've got it, man. Like, take it seriously. Everyone's watching now. Take that shit seriously. From New York, Jay's in Jamaica. Queens is in Elmhurst. Queens is literally ground zero right now, getting annihilated.
I live in Jamaica, Queens. I'm about 10-minute drive from Elmhurst. And
it's a war zone there, right?
It's really bad out here, man. In my apartment building, there's been 20 people with cases. It's terrible, and that seems to be the norm around here. People are just, it's spreading like wildfire over here, and it's a situation where it is avoidable if you take the proper precautions, but at the same time, you have to have empathy and try to help as best as you can while also being smart about it. Yep. I've had the urge to, volunteer and go to the hospital, but I've had to fight that urge because there's very little value I can bring.
And you got to look out for your family, right? Like, it's a weird balance, right? Like, it's how do you be helpful and mindful and be altruistic at the same time? Like, you don't want to bring that shit home.
Yeah. And as a soldier, I personally have had this mentality where there was a dangerous situation, or I'm like Leroy Jenkins, like, right, what I mean? Was, not even thinking about it. Just I've gambled and put my life on the line countless times in the military and outside of the military to help others. But in these particular circumstances, it's not an enemy you can fight like that. Like,
right? That's the difference. Like, you can't see the enemy.
Yeah, you have to know your enemy, man. And this enemy is, unless you have a vaccine, you can't combat it. So the most you can do is protect yourself.
It's crazy. It's almost like a crazy one of those like Marvel superhero movies, because the enemy right now is invisible and it morphs, right? This fucker morphs, and it's got different strains, and you can't see it, and it's invisible, and it like goes through walls and shit, and it has like there's no kryptonite. There's no kryptonite to Corona, man. Exactly. The kryptonite is us being mindful and careful, and we're gonna beat this thing. We have to. There's no choice. So let's switch it up a little bit, right? And I wanna talk about present day right now. I mean, I have had the privilege, and I tell you this all the time, man. Like, sitting on the sidelines here, watching. I've had a front row seat to watch your career grow. That first stop at Boombox, man. When our boy our boy Johnny,
shout out to John Hendricks, man.
Shout out John Hendricks. He pulled you up. and he said, I see something in this dude, and he put you in a spot to succeed, and you took that opportunity and you fucking crushed it, man.
Yeah,
and
man.
now you're EVP at one of the dopest companies on the planet, Complex, man. And I'm just proud of you. I just want to give you quick love and shout out on that one, man. How many people in the fam there?
At Complex?
Yeah.
We have a little over 300 full-time employees and countless freelancers, from permalance to freelance writers, temps. We have a pretty large staff. We're about under 500 altogether.
Got it. So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to early March, right? Like, if you don't mind sharing a little bit of what that conversation is like at the executive level. I mean, share what you feel comfortable. Like when you guys hear that things are happening, when you hear there might be a lockdown, when you hear that, like, and kind of tell us like how much of your crew now is remote, like the culture wise there. But you basically had to take everybody that was in the office or any of your offices and take them to the road. Take us through that thought process and the conversations.
Yeah. At first, it was taken seriously, but not to this degree. And as the news started to get progressively worse, we actually planned ahead. So I always felt like we were 2 steps ahead of where things were going, because I could kind of see where it was going based on everything that I saw or read at the time. So we had a game plan to shut down the office about 2.5, 3 weeks before it was mandated. And that kind of forward thinking has set us up well, because we planned for all of these scenarios from an executive level. There needed to be some coaxing, because every executive has a different interest, right? And a work from home scenario affects them differently.
Absolutely.
So some executives would be, more, stubborn's not the right word, but trying to figure out ways to maintain continuity and maintain that, normal workflow. And it really wasn't something that they wanted to adjust, because it would have been arduous for that department. But, as things became progressively, real and clearer, they automatically was like, you know what? No more pushback. I totally get it. Let's do it.
The writing was on the wall, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And and I played a huge part in coming up with that strategy. It was definitely a group effort, but I led I created the initial strategy, shared it with the leadership team. Everybody gave their input, and we put together a pretty good plan that actually has Complex in a good spot right now, because we have been planning and creating ideas for developing content from a work from home scenario.
I like it.
For over almost a month and a half, 2 months now.
But let's go back, like your golden thread at Complex's culture. I mean, it's ingrained in the DNA of the company, man.
Absolutely.
And like culture could be remote, culture could be physical, right? But what do you do to ensure that you still keep that Complex vibe, that you still keep that DNA of the company while everyone's remote? How do you keep camaraderie? How do you keep spirit? How do you keep like everyone kind of lifted and going, man?
Well, the first thing you need to do, I don't know if a lot of your viewers are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So you can, at the very top is, that kind of cultural sense of pride and, your core values and stuff like that. But if you're not fulfilling those needs under, which is job security, livelihood, stuff like that, the rest of that stuff is going to fall on deaf ears, right? So we had to be transparent about where we were, and luckily we were able to not move forward with any layoffs. Our parent companies, Verizon and Hearst, article dropped a couple of days ago about Hearst taking pride in the fact that they are not going to be conducting layoffs.
That's a big one.
So we are one of the few companies right now that are in a very fortunate position to where we don't have to take those actions at this time. So once that was
Right, like you take the fear out of people and you let them know that, hey, everyone's kind of safe here, because you go and you have to take care of your people. People are scared, man. They're losing jobs. The economy's going to shit.
absolutely. So once you take that burden off of the people, then that inherently will get people rallied around the company, because they're like, wow, the company's taking it on the chin for us, and we're going to be incurring losses, in order to maintain, our staff. So that right there is going to be a rallying cry. But I recognize that not every company is in that position. So for most companies who have to make those hard decisions, I would message, and I've been in that situation before where I had to lay off a lot of people. Transparency is the number one thing during this time.
People get it, man. They appreciate it too.
Absolutely, man. It should never come as a surprise. So as much messaging as possible up front, and then once you execute it, being transparent and people understanding the reasons why. If you try to be duplicitous about it, or it's going to lead to resentment and a lack of trust within staff towards leadership, and that will kill your culture immediately.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing too. You need to. It's a tough, right? Because like you got to balance keeping it level and making sure you don't dip, but there's also a lot of opportunities to increase camaraderie, right? Because everyone's kind of like banding together, right? As a family,
Right.
We're in this shit together. We're in it to win it. We're
Right.
sticking with it. We got to get through. We got to keep the business alive, right? There's a lot of silver linings, and we'll get to silver linings later on. But like, there's silver linings here. Now, let's talk about how you're working with like a lot of the we'll call them department managers, the department heads, to keep workflow going, to keep work going, to keep project flow. Is there any coaching there, or any tools, any skills that you need to, because people aren't set up for this shit, right? Like people aren't ready for this. So how do you get them onboarded quickly and ready to go?
Preaching the value of face-to-face interactions in this climate has been huge. A lot of managers, they have a tendency to skip one-on-ones, or cancel or postpone group meetings and stuff like that. That daily visual interaction with people is actually huge right now, because people are isolated and are in a solitary setting for most of the day, right? So I've made it mandatory that all departments have at least a daily, some form of a daily stand-up.
Like a stand-up, yeah.
That has been huge. Also, empathy, man, and having flexibility, and like people, they aren't just dealing with works. The personal stuff has, trumped, for lack of a better term, worked, right?
No pun intended there.
So giving people that added flexibility to where, they can take care of personal stuff, make that store run, or,
homeschool the kids. You don't know what's going on, man.
Giving people that kind of work flexibility, so that, if their personal lives are in flux, there's no way that they can focus on the work. So we do have to remain flexible. And also, one thing I've been discussing with my team is encouraging PTO.
Let's wait. I want pause on PTO for a second, because I do want to ask you that question, but I want to go back for a second too. And it's interesting. Some people, I got 4 in my household here. You got a fam there. Some people have just themselves, right? So when they go to work, that's their camaraderie, that's their family. They're not alone. So you have to really be mindful about everybody's unique situation. Some people are parents, and they got kids, they got to homeschool for a couple hours in the morning, and you got to be flexible with their schedule. I have friends with special need kids, and they're going through so much fucking shit right now because they can't get the services they need. Like, everybody's in crazy situations. Some people have elderly parents and relatives in nursing homes, and they're literally worrying every second. Like, this is not normal work from home. And I want to make that very clear because I've been seeing a lot of shit around LinkedIn and everything talking about work from home. Oh, the trustworthiness. Like companies can now see that everyone's trustworthy to work from home. This is not normal work from home. These
No,
are different circumstances.
absolutely.
Normal work from home is when my kid's at school and they're not here all day. Normal work from home is when you're not worried about your elderly parent in the nursing home. That's normal work from home.
Absolutely. There's no one size fits all solution. That's why I've been training and encouraging managers to understand their individual employee needs, and blanket policy works on some level, but you do have to again be malleable and adjust, and understanding everyone's personal situation and making accommodations accordingly.
So let me ask you this, man. Have you hit any roadblocks, stop signs, speed bumps?
I wouldn't say stop signs, speed bumps for sure, right? Like, we are there's no blueprint for this. So
No.
what's the saying? You want to make God laugh, make a plan.
I haven't heard that one, but I like it. It's a good one.
Yeah. But you plan, you steer the ship the best way you know how. And of course there's going to be some unaccounted for variables that throw a monkey wrench in your plan, but luckily there hasn't been anything that has severely altered what our plans are. We just had to make adjustments as we've encountered issues, but for the most part, man, people have adjusted rather nicely. I would say that first week,
it was an adjustment week. Everybody had to get used to it.
Yeah, everybody was like, holy shit, everybody's making a run at the store and stocking up, and people are worried about family members and their living situations. I've had
That was a transition period, man. Now we're in cruise control.
Yeah, now it's becoming part of the new normal, and people have made those adjustments. So I think we're hitting a stride. I think the next major obstacle is getting people back to work.
Yeah, let's pause on the back to work for a second here. I want to talk about something interesting, PTO, right? Time off. Like, listen, man, we've all had to delay vacations. We all know that. And the one equalizer, man, is everything is canceled. Yeah. There's not one person on this planet that's got a birthday party, a shindig, a party, something to go to. Everybody's canceled. Life is canceled right now. On hold, pause. Everyone's out of that. But PTO is interesting, man, because maybe you need a day to just, in the middle of the week, to just let loose. And then by let loose, I mean just not work, right? Let loose doesn't mean like, you're going on vacation, but maybe you need to like just go take a walk. Maybe you need a day off. Like, so are you encouraging for people to still keep kind of days off? I mean, we're not saying maybe take a week off, or maybe you are.
No. I think it's as needed, right? So, right. Being at home, I found myself in a situation where you're kind of overcompensating, and I don't think I'm unavailable from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep.
They could get you.
I'm always working, right? And that could lead to burnout.
Something we're not talking a lot about because people are home and they're not commuting. Because if you're commuting, maybe you shut off on the train. But right now, you hit it, man. Like from the time you wake up, you're looking at your phone till you go to bed. You're on. You feel like you need to over communicate. So burnout's a real thing, man. How you dealing with that, and how you minding your people?
Well, I'm encouraging people. Well, we have about 3-hour-long blocks throughout the week where it isn't work related, where everybody, like, I just got off of a video chat where we have our virtual happy hours every Thursday, and no work related stuff. We curate it beforehand, and everybody joins. We have a glass of wine, and we have speakers who are presenting certain stuff. I spoke about a week and a half ago, presented some of my polo collection. Rich just spoke, and he had an AMA.
Let me ask you one thing here, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean to cut you off. What is the prized piece in the polo collection?
Oh, it's definitely I have a few grails, and this is probably going to be generic, but it means a lot to me. It's the Snow Beach pullover.
Yeah.
The one that Ray wore in the video all those years ago in '93. When I first started collecting polo, that was like my my mountaintop, right? That was my Mount Everest. It's a very expensive piece. And I was like, yo, it's one of the things I was working for. Some people work for, a house or a car. That I was working for that piece as a collector. And I was able to cop it about 3 years ago, right before they retroed it, actually.
Right.
I didn't even realize they were going to retro it right before the news started, that they were going to drop a retro version of the Snow Beach collection. And I actually paid an ungodly amount of money for that. And
felt good.
And I was pissed off, but I have the original from '93 in my closet.
Big up to my man Mursky, Jared Mursky. Anthony's up in the house. We got some people up in here. You know something, dude? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about for a minute things that make you feel good. So right now, let me see if I can move my camera here. These are my Shea Stadium seats, man.
That's amazing.
And the story that I like to give, and I've told the story a couple times on the air here. This was 2010, 2011. They built Citi Field, right? Queensbridge, up in the house, right? We got Flushing, and they built Citi Field and Shea Stadium. Been around since the 60s, man. I grew up as a Mets fan. I am a diehard Mets fan. Seen a lot go down there. And they tore down the stadium and they were selling these seats. They ripped up all the seats here. And I remember I go to my dad. I'm like, Dad, they're selling the seats from Shea Stadium and I want to buy them. And they weren't like astronomically expensive, but at the time to drop like $2,000 on these bad boys, you're like, for seats?
Yeah.
Right? And I go to my dad, and my dad's a New York City Board of Ed school teacher, right? He values the dollar, right? And I go, Dad, but he's also a diehard baseball fan, and he gets it. I go, Dad, do you think I should buy them? He goes, will you regret not buying them? And I go, absolutely. He goes, then buy them and figure it out later. And now we're sitting here, and I'm sitting in my Shea Stadium seats, man.
You know what? My old boss, Jason Stein, who's my friend now, he told me something, and I'll never forget it. Never apologize for your passions, man. And if you have something passionate and you love it, do it, whatever that shit is. You know what I mean? Whether it's collecting polo, whether it's baseball, whether it's whatever it is. That's what life's about, man. Do what the fuck makes you happy, man.
Right. So let me ask you now, right? Like, because I think now that now's the time to focus on things that keep you happy. Right. Now's the time to keep you happy. What makes you happy right now, man, outside of work?
Outside of work, honestly, I've found a newfound appreciation for my wife.
Dude, I'm laughing because I agree with you, man. Wait, all right, so let's chop this up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like, is there something that you notice? Like, you guys have been around, you guys have been together for a little bit. You guys have been together for a few years.
4 years, yeah.
Right. Are you finding something in her that maybe like you forgot about, that you haven't appreciated for a while? Like, what is it that you're appreciating now?
Nothing I forgot about, but something I haven't appreciated for a while is, her sense of humor and her personality. She can make me laugh like nobody else. And being around her more and just us cracking jokes back and forth. I'm trying to convince her to let me get a dog right now. It's not fucking happening.
Do you think that's a good time, man? I mean, it's a lot of outdoor time.
I think it's a great time, man. There's a lot of
you could train at your home to train the dog.
That's one.
It's like a baby. It's like a baby.
That's one thing. Look, hey, baby. Talking about
he wants a dog.
Yeah. You gonna let me get the dog? No. Oh shit. All right. I'll try again later.
By the way, if you guys want to follow their love, follow his Instagram, man. There's so much freaking love on that Instagram.
Thank you.
It is lovey-dovey. It is lovey-dovey central, man.
Yeah, but no, I think it's a good time to get a dog. To your point, you have more time to train a dog right now, and there's a lot of dogs that need a home, man. And a lot of people aren't in the mindset to adopt right now, but luckily my situation allows for it, and we can use the extra,
distraction.
To crack jokes on. So.
No, I like it, man. And like, here's the thing, man. Like, and I don't mean to take a dark turn here, but like, there's a lot of people that don't have the love, that don't have the homes, that don't have the infrastructure that we have right now. There's a lot of people going through some dark times. Yeah, and it's tough, right? Yeah. Like, there's a lot of domestic abuse. There's a lot of people crammed into small apartments in the inner cities, right? There's a lot of people that like parents aren't working, they're not making money. It's hard. Like, I take it for granted, man, that for me, I got to put a mask on. I got to go wait in line. I'm in the burbs here. It's real easy for me to go to the supermarket and be safe. But we're talking about the cities, right? We're talking about these inner cities, man, where there's so much congestion and there's so much saturation. It's hard to keep a distance. And that's tough, man. And people are getting sick. And people
sounds it is there's no light at the end of the tunnel right now, right?
No.
The future is as unknown as it's ever been in any of our lifetimes.
Scary shit.
And, you know, everything from not just the virus, but from the economy and how certain industries are being decimated right now. Things like live events.
Oh, man.
Sports. Like, people are losing
hospitality,
their
travel, retail. It's terrible.
Losing their jobs left and right. But not only that, there is no like the impact on the industry that you work in long term is completely unknown right now. And certain industries might just either go away or be severely altered. And those are people's careers that they've put in 15, 20 years into, man.
And just overnight,
it's gone. And
it's scary.
And it's sudden, and it's not something that people have planned for. So it's really hard to have a mentality to adjust and learn new skills, for instance, or break into a new industry when you weren't planning to. And it's something that people are going to have to do in order to survive, man. And it is scary.
Right, you kind of hit the nail on the head on that one, right? And we could spend a lot of time talking about transferable skills and having the mindset to have to shift.
That's one of the things that attracted me to HR as a profession, is that it is industry agnostic.
Right.
Where I have a background in HR, doing HR in media and advertising, but if I really needed to do HR in for
manufacturing or whatever, you could do it.
I mean, right?
Because you have the skill set, you have the ability to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Every industry needs HR. And I didn't want to be hamstrung by a specific, industry where, if something like this were to happen, I'm not saying I predicted this, but like, I wanted to have that flexibility. That was one of the biggest things that attracted me to HR. So
I love it, man. So let's close it out with two things here. One, what are you watching on TV right now?
We just started Ozark.
Wait, for first season,
I'm up to episode 3 in season 1.
I literally about 3 hours ago, I just finished the finale of season 3. So I'm not going to tell you anything because it won't even make sense. It won't even make sense at this point. Yeah. But you're in for a ride, man. Ozark. Now here's another one. Here's an undercover show for you, man. It's a 4-part series on Netflix called Unorthodox, right? Okay. And on the surface, it may not get you interested, but I'm telling you, it's fucking gold, man. It's a story of a Hasidic Jewish girl in Brooklyn, and she breaks away from the pack. She runs away to Berlin, and she finds herself there. Dude, I'm telling you, like, it may not sound that interesting, but I'm telling you, it's gold, man.
Interesting,
dude. It's really good. And I just started season 3 of Fauda. You ever check out Fauda?
I haven't.
You know what it's about?
No.
So it's the Israeli special forces, like undercover, like the real undercover SWAT team in the Israeli special forces that infiltrates like Palestine and everything. But it's very fair because it gives a very fair perspective of what's happening on the other side, man. 3 seasons, subtitles, but if you hit the little button, they do the voiceover thing, which is bearable. Like, they have an accent on the voiceover. It's not like a total American dude doing like an Israeli accent. No, it's legit, right? Like, it's good. Dude, Fauda you'd like it, dude. I'm telling you, you'd like Fauda. Check out Fauda, man.
Yeah.
It's shoot 'em up. It's fast. It's real. I think you'd appreciate that. But here's the way I like to end all of these lives right here. There's a lot of bad shit in this world. There's a lot of bad shit going on right now. We all know that, right? Like, it's tough to look at the news. We don't want to deal with politics, man. Like, I can't even think straight. I can't even tell you when I see something about our president, man. I don't know whether it's real. I don't know whether it's fact or fiction. I don't know what the hell that is. I try to form my own opinions. I try to avoid all that shit. So I try to look for the silver linings, right? I try to look for the good. So 2 silver linings, Jay. professional and personal right now?
I mean, professional for me personally, you know, having the ability to lead a company without having to lay off people has been the ultimate silver lining for me. Um, you know, it's something like as I mentioned before, it's something that I've done a couple of times in my past, and it is literally the worst part of my job. Um, and in this climate, under these circumstances, having to not do that is an unbelievable silver lining for me, man.
I love it.
And then personally, man, it's getting closer to my family. I'm a workaholic. You know me, man. I'm in the first one in, last one out most of the time, and I rarely have that family time. And being able to spend more time with my wife and my kids and cops I'm talking to more and seeing more, it's something that I'm really, really appreciating, man. And I'm going forward, it's giving me perspective of how much time I do have to invest in my family and trying to carve out more time to be with them even after things get back to normal.
And last but not least, your thoughts on the RZA's audio quality on that bullshit RZA DJ Premier thing. How does this guy? I mean, the RZA is like he's at the pinnacle. He is the pope of my hip hop. Like RZA, Nas, Queensbridge. Like you look at this little Jewish kid from Long Island here. I mean, I love nothing more than the Wu-Tang Clan. I literally like that. Like, but I'm like RZA.
Part of my home office setup is a box.
Raekwon. Is that Cuban Links? What?
Yeah, it's a special version of the purple tape.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me. It comes with a book.
Only built for Cuban Links, right there. What year is that? Is that
it's like a special edition joint, and it has the purple tape.
What? Do you even have something to play that in?
No, I don't actually. It's a decoration.
You got to go buy a car from '87 and play that. You got to go buy
20th anniversary. Joint.
95. All right, man. Raekwon the chef, right there.
Going back to RZA, man, somebody fucking made me die. They were like, "Yo," in the comments, they were like, "I guess Bobby's not so digital."
Bobby Analog, right?
I fucking lost it, man. Yo, that was a moment, man. And
that was cool.
I was watching it with my son. My son's turning 18 next week.
Oh man, and he's leaving. He can't leave now. oh, you're 18. You think you could leave the house? You're not leaving.
Ah, son. You thought, but nah, man. And no, but being able, like, those two guys were the soundtrack to my childhood.
Yeah, man.
And being able to share that with him, and it wasn't like there was an appreciation there from both of them, and it was something like even pre-quarantine, it was just something I would have paid, Mayweather Pacquiao prices pay-per-view to see that, and for them to do that was historic for hip hop, man.
And that's cool, man. Right? Like these are all the things that are coming out of it. I mean, I think this weekend's like a big listen, like the celebs and musicians, they always step up, right? They always step up for the world causes and everything. And like we see all the collabs, we see it all coming together. But like technology, like you're seeing these like people are opening up their doors in their homes, and you're seeing like all the celebs sitting there and they're like doing all these intimate shows, and it feels like just you and them, man. And we're all like, yeah, listen, believe me, everyone's in different socioeconomic situations right now, but we're all fucked, right? Like that's a common denominator. Like some of us are less fucked than others, but we're all fucked.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This brings everybody to a same level almost.
100%. 100%. So we're gonna wrap it up here. I appreciate everyone that's been tuning in with me and my man Jay. He knows how much he means to me for a long time. Someone I deeply respect and admire. A beacon, a shining light in the world of human resources, doing it well, doing it right, and leading the way over at Complex. Jay, where can folks find you? Where could they connect with you? Where do they?
On all social media, it's Jay Flatbush. You know what I mean? Keep it real and never forget where you came from. So Jay Flatbush, And then yeah, man, I'm on LinkedIn heavy, so that's a good place to connect. Just don't try to sell me no shit. I'm not
right. Come on, don't be tone deaf. Don't be tone deaf.
No, I don't want to see how you can better my business. Like,
sell you a new ATS platform.
Come on, man, just stop it already, man.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, I don't know how effective that is. I guess some people,
so one question. I mean, I don't want to go too back, but one thing I meant to ask. I'm going to ask you a question now. Are you guys hiring? Are you frozen? Are you kind of hanging tight? What's happening over there?
We're not hiring at the same level we were pre-COVID, but we are hiring for some select roles. So
and how you doing that? You doing like all Zooms? You keeping it moving? You keeping the flow
all
moving?
Zooms, virtual onboarding,
I like it.
Mailing laptops. So we can't. I'm the only person allowed in the office. I go about once a week.
Is it like ghost town? Like there's like bales of hay rolling down the hallway? Like
I'll actually tell a quick story.
You go through people's desks and shit? I'm kidding.
No, but I have to go into the office to collect checks because we still have a lot of clients sending paper checks. But the day after 9/11, September 12th, 2001, I was living uptown and I wanted to go check my father in Brooklyn, right? So I take the train, and something tells me to get off at Times Square because for those of you old enough to remember 9/11, it was just like a shock to the system. And I wanted to kind of like feel New York City be New York again in a way. So I get off the train in Times Square, and I'm literally the only person in Times Square.
That insane. My midday.
It was like out of that movie, I Am Legend.
Yeah.
Like that the next day after 9/11, I'm the only person in Times Square. And it was the most surreal feeling I ever had in my life. And I never thought I would experience that again. About 2 weeks ago, for those that don't know, Complex's offices are in Times Square. So I go outside the office for a minute to smoke a cigarette, and I'm in the middle of Times Square, and I am again the only person in Times Square. It was so eerie. It was like
10 years later.
Unbelievable, man. It was unbelievable.
We're going through something here, and we're going through it together. And I mean, 9/11. I mean, the difference with 9/11, right? That was one day and it was over. I mean, the actual event was over, right? I mean, the ripple effects obviously lasted for a long time, but we don't got this end in sight. So I think right now, and I want to close this off on a positive note, that it's the optimism. It's the hope. It's the fact that we're in this together, man, that like there's so many silver linings. There's so many good things that are happening here. And we're going to mind our health. We're going to look out for our fellow man. We're going to be responsible, and we're going to come out the other side. Jay, closing thoughts here. Give me one mantra, one kind of like one thing that you repeat to yourself every single day, man, that's positive.
You know what? This is something that we used to tell ourselves in the Army. We're built for the struggle. You know what I mean? That was the thing that kept us going. So be built for the struggle, man. This is the struggle, but you gotta just let that shit roll off and keep it moving. Something else we used to tell ourselves in the Army, FIDO. It was an acronym. Fuck it, drive on. And that's what you gotta do, man.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Everybody, Jay, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody tuning into the podcast live, thank you for hanging out with us for a little bit on this Thursday happy hour. I have a huge week next week. I'm going to announce everything. I mean, we got global shit going on. Tremendous happy hour Thursday. We have a lot going on. Jay, I love you, brother. Be good. Take care. Wash your hands. Everybody, take care. Be good. Enjoy. Take care.